Welcome to Robert Bellissimo at the Movies. This is a YouTube channel where we explore all things cinema. Today I'm going to be reviewing Al Pacino's new autobiography, Sonny Boy, which I absolutely adored. I loved it. And what I would recommend is for people to listen to the audiobook of Pacino actually speaking the words in the book, because he's such a great actor and he's such a great storyteller that you feel as though he is right there next to you and having this intimate conversation, or conversations I should say, about his entire life. It would be interesting to now later go and read it down the road. I think I will do that to see how I take to it, because he's such a quirky character. He's the way he tells stories, and he's just very witty, very funny, but also even got me really emotional over hearing some difficult parts of his life, and just no one like him in a lot of ways. And I started to really see this side of his personality come out. Probably if you look at interviews with him starting in the early 21st century, interviews from the 70s, 80s, 90s, he always came across very serious. And I think he was maybe more guarded or possibly not as comfortable. With interviews, he describes himself as shy. There was a time when, he had a hard time dealing with celebrity when he became really, really famous. And he didn't like to reveal a lot of things about himself because he felt that, people would have a harder time investing in his movies he's in to believe that he's a certain character the more they know about him. I remember reading a story of his when he was younger. He read a biography on Montgomery Clift, who he loves, and then every time he saw Clift in a film after that, he just kept thinking about those real life stories he knew. But he's become very open as he's gotten older. And I know a lot about Al. He's one of my favorite actors. He inspired me to become an actor. He inspired me to do a lot more theater. As we all know, anyone who knows a lot about Pacino, he's done a ton of theater. Shakespeare, he's been on Broadway. I saw him actually in 2010 do Merchant of Venice in New York in Central Park, Shakespeare in the Park. But the book, he really, there's a lot of stories that we all know, anyone who knows his life, but there's a lot of things that I also don't know, and also just his feelings about things that happened. Not everything is just stories. For example, it's so moving, and I knew that his very close friends as teenagers all died. He was from the South Bronx. He was from a rough neighborhood, and, they got hooked on drugs and things like that, and they mostly died young. They all died young, I should say. And towards the end, he talks about that in the book, but then at the end of the book, he gives a eulogy for them that he said he wished he had done in person. And it was so, he really got me choked up. He talked about how much he loved these guys and how much they meant to him. And it was just incredibly moving. And of course, his mother died, which I knew, of course, when he was in his early 20s. And then his grandfather, who also raised him, died right after. And just, his feelings about his mother, he talked, had always been poor. And he said he felt that she really had a curiosity about life. And if she had a better economic situation, that would have really changed her life for the better. So that's devastating to hear. And, at the end, he talks a lot about death as well. Here he's 84. And, it's interesting because I'm like, a lot of the fears he has about death, I have about death. And I'm sure we all have about death. Where are we going after? Is there a hell? Is there a heaven? And he's like, he's afraid that if maybe hell is just you waking up in the coffin and you can't get out for eternity. And I've had that thought as well. But the book ends and it's so heartbreaking because he says if he's lucky enough to see his mother again, he will say to her, "Hey Ma, you see what happened to me?" That just got me, because she died before he became really successful, which is tragic. She was only in her early 40s. But there's a story he tells about, I didn't know this, that she had tried to commit suicide when he was a young boy, and he was home once and she was crying, and she kept kissing his cheeks and kissing him and hugging him. He didn't know what was going on just before he went out to play. And then he went out to play, and then his friend said, "Hey, there's an ambulance outside your tenement, and I think it's your mother." And he was like, "My mother?" And then he saw her being taken away on a stretcher. And he said that if for those of you who have seen Dog Day Afternoon, at the end, when his best friend, who John Cazale plays, is shot and killed, and you see the shot of him being taken away on a stretcher, and Pacino as Sonny, which of course, Sonny Boy was his childhood nickname, and the character's name is Sonny, is looking at his friend being taken away, and he said that reminded him so much of that experience from when he was a child. But just, he talks a lot about his, like I said, his feelings, his views on things. And what I respect is that he doesn't, he's had affair relationships with a lot of some well-known actors that we all know and love, Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and he doesn't say anything bad about anyone. He doesn't say, "Oh, well, we broke up because of this," and he kept those kind of things private, which I can understand. There's always two sides to every story. Maybe he thought, I'm not saying he necessarily has negative feelings towards them, but I can't help but wonder if he was thinking, well, if I talk about why we broke up, maybe they'll feel the need to come back in the press and tell their version of things. And I can't help but wonder if maybe he was also concerned that then his story, his autobiography, would become muddled, or he just didn't want to, out of respect to them. If anything, he blames himself he talks about, he was with Joe Clayburgh, who, we all know from An Unmarried Woman in many films, great actor. And, he blamed himself for why that ended. He said he took her for granted. He talks about his alcoholism, which I knew. I also didn't know he struggled also with drugs, which I didn't know that he had a drug problem as well. Tuesday Weld, and he talked about how much he loved her, and he goes, she just says, well, the writing was on the wall and the relationship ended. And he talks about, there's a scene in Serpico where they're all in the park and the fellow police officers are trying to get him to take the money that the bribes that the police officer have been taking. They're trying to get him to take it, and they say, just donate it to charity if you don't want it. And then he refuses. And if you look at him, he looks like he's in such a bad mood. And he said this because it was the day that him and Tuesday Weld broke up, which obviously worked perfect for the state of mind of Serpico at that moment. And so, I didn't know that. So there's all these great insights. And he also I knew he went broke in the 80s. He just had a string of films that didn't do well at the box office, and he thought his career was over in film. And he just stopped making movies for about 4 years, and he went broke. And he just tells the story with the utmost sense of humor, because he's apparently Diane Keaton, who he was with at the time, went to his lawyer and said, he doesn't have any money, like, what are you guys doing? And he goes, do you know who this guy is? And the lawyer just kind of stumbled and didn't know what to say. She goes, he is an idiot. She's like, he doesn't know how to, you got to help him with this kind of stuff. And then in the late 2000s, I had read about this, that, it happened again, that, he had this crooked accountant, but he also said he was spending something like $300,000 a month because he had a staff. And it was interesting. I don't know why he chose to have a staff then, because he never had a publicist until much later. So, I know at that point he had twins. He had his oldest daughter, who was born in the late 80s. And he just said he was stupid. He was spending an insane amount of money, and he said he just was totally broke. And he goes, that's why you started to see him appear in a lot of bad stuff, because without naming names. So that he just tells it with the utmost sense of humor. I thought, and he talks about pretty much every movie he was in, and even the TV series and things he did. But obviously he leaves out some, but he touches on pretty much everything. And of course his close friendship with this man, Charlie Lawton, not Charles Lawton, the great actor, another Charlie Lawton, and he had a very close friendship with him. And Marty Bregman, his manager, who was like instrumental in him getting so many movies in the early part of his career. And but again, he doesn't trash anybody. He just says they had a falling out. And I respected that. I respected that he didn't feel the need to sort of dish out any bad feelings he may have for people. Whether he did or not, I don't know. But he's very respectful about these relationships he had. But it's wonderful. So if you're looking for a gift this holiday season to buy someone, get them Al Pacino, Sonny Boy, and like I said, I would recommend getting the audiobook because he did such a good job telling his story, and I just think that that's the way to go if you want to read this book. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching and or listening. If you've read the book or listened to the audiobook, comment below and let me know what you think. Or if you are now seeing this review and you go away and read the book or listen to it, come back, comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks so much, everyone. I want to thank all of my members on Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a member of my Patreon, head over to the link patreon.com/RobertBellissimo at the movies for full details. Patreon is exclusive content that you will receive month in and month out. So head over to the link for full details and join today. You can also leave a donation directly to my YouTube channel by pressing the thanks link, which you will find directly below the video frame. Just click on the link, and from there, you can leave a donation if you choose to. And lastly, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. It is absolutely free to do so by pressing the Robert Bellissimo at the Movies logo, which you will see floating above my head in the top left corner of your screen. So just click on that and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release a new video. And lastly, liking the videos, sharing, and commenting all really help to create traction over to my YouTube channel. So please like, please share, please comment, and we can engage together further on my YouTube channel about my various videos and episodes. Thank you so much again, everyone, and I will see you all soon.